You already know your story isn't converting as well as it could be, but the hard part is figuring out why. Like, why is this happening? What's causing it? Like, is it a bad product page? Maybe it's a bad checkout experience. Maybe it's like your whole long form sales page if you have one. And there are like so many different paths that people can take and so many things that can cause you to lose money that you're just sitting there wondering, like, what do I even fix? Well, we help this brand increase their sales by 32% in only 20 days, as you can see. And I'm going to refresh this page real quick just so you can see it's actually like a real page. We did this by finding holes in their funnels and we made the right changes, and now I'm about to teach you how to do the same. All right, so what we're going to go through, I just call it the zoom in system, and basically there are 5 levels here, and you are going to start off instantly with the first level, which is basically your whole store, right? And I know that you just want me to like open heat maps or like open Google Analytics and just go straight into telling you like, hey, do this, do that. But first, give me just like 4 minutes or just a couple of minutes like on the first 2 steps, because honestly, if you skip this, you will misread every single data and every single heat map that you look at. So please just give me a bit of time here, okay? The page that's getting the traffic isn't always the problem that is losing you money. So you've probably got a bad conversion rate and not enough sales, and right now you are just guessing what is causing this lack of sales, right? As I said, it could be the product details page, the offer, maybe even the whole funnel. But a bad conversion rate basically isn't a problem. It is a symptom. And I want you to remember that it is a symptom, right? It tells you that people aren't buying, but it doesn't tell you where these people aren't buying and why these people are not buying. So every change that you make from that point is basically just a guess, and guessing costs you money. Like, I know you see bad conversion rate. Oh, what do? I'll go on Google or YouTube and search, hey, top 5 changes to increase conversion rate. That doesn't work, okay? Everything in this video is basically showing you how to get from the symptom to the one spot in your store that is actually causing the bad conversion rate, which starts us with understanding what actually pushes the person over the line that is actually going to make them buy. Because if you get this part wrong, I'm telling you, every number that you look at after, you are going to read it wrong. So what does actually make the person want to buy from you, right? What most store owners actually do wrong is that they treat every single visitor the same. So think of every single visitor as having their own marble jar, okay? And a jar like this, marble jar. So the jar is basically partially filled before they even see your page. This is because of the ad that they clicked, the promise that the ad made, the how much pain this person is in before clicking the ad, how much money they have, how warm they already are to the idea of actually buying, right? And so, for example, some visitors are going to land only with 20% of the jar filled up, right? Some are going to land with 70% of the visitors filled up, and some usually, like, this is the wrong audience. Maybe there's like wrong intent, so a mismatch between the ad and the page. Maybe you've created a clickbaity ad, and all of these people like land with the jar like basically empty, right? And even if your store is perfect, these people are never going to buy. Now, your store's job is basically to fill the jar the rest of the way, fill this rest that is empty, right? So look at every page, section, and element on your store as a marble, right? Every visitor arrives with a starting level, and every single section or every single section your store is going to add a marble out, or it is going to take a marble out. So as I said, if it's only 20% filled out, then you have a big job to do. You need to fill out like 80% of the jar, right? But if it's 70% filled out, then you only need to fill like this much, which is going to be much easier for you, right? So only less marbles or less sections and elements are going to be needed to actually make the person buy. So every section, for example, that builds trust, it answers an objection at the right moment, or it moves the visitor one step closer to the cart, is going to add a marble. And here are examples for that, right? So, for example, having reviews in the hero section, and other than that, a good product gallery images, they are going to also add a point or also add a marble. Money back around the CTA, that is also going to add a marble. So all of these things are pushing the person more closer to actually buying, right? But every section that makes them think too hard, every navigation menu that's a mess, every part of your page that basically loses their attention or makes them doubt you as a brand, doubt your possibility to deliver, all of that is going to take marbles out, right? So, and when the jar is empty, like, they basically leave, right? So for example, as I said, messy navigation, walls of text that people are never going to read and are just going to like intimidate them, expensive shipping revealed at checkout, all of these things are taking marbles out, and they're not going to buy because of that. So you see, before you even start changing things, you need to actually start asking the right questions. So I don't want you asking like, I'm not making enough sales, like what is wrong with my page, what's going on? I want you to ask like, what is taking marbles out and where is it happening? What is causing friction between like with the person landing on the page and them actually buying my product? What section is it? What page is it? What's going on, right? Because that answer is different for every store, and finding it exactly what we're going to do right now. So now that you understand like how visitors move through your store and what actually is going to make them buy, you need to know exactly like which numbers you need to look at and which numbers are going to tell you what is happening on your store, why people are not buying. And without these numbers, you're just like driving blind into a wall. You're just adding random things to your store basically. So this is what we're going to look at now. We're zooming in a bit more. We go from your whole store, basically all of these different paths that people can take, and now we are going to learn like what metrics are going to tell us like what we actually need to focus on. The number that matters the most, this is the holy number that I don't know, you should put it above your computer every day, like before you wake up to work on your store, like RPV, okay, revenue per visitor. So this is basically one person lands, how much money do they generate you, your brand, right? So you might have heard of this before. It's also like referred to as revenue per session or earnings per view, whatever. So the revenue per visitor is going to be basically the conversion rate times the average order value. So let's say that you have a conversion rate of, I don't know, 2.7%, right? If you have also an average order value of, let's say, $87, right? Oh my God, $87. Let's see. So 2.7 times 87 is going to be 2.34. So it's that is basically $2.34, and this is pretty close to the 2.40. And this, and like now depending on what you're selling, this is probably going to mean you're either close to being profitable or you are like on the bottom, on the line, like of being, I don't know, profitable. Maybe you're losing a bit of money, but yeah, it depends, right? But what I want you to aim for is for $2.40. And what other metrics are important? So other than RPV, as I said, focus on that, like focus on increasing the conversion rate, focus on increasing the average order value. But other than that, what I want you to look at is the KPIs in the customer journey, basically. Before I tell you this, I'm going to show you all of these things like much more clearly later on, but just now I want to get the theory a bit out of the way, okay? So add to cart, you've probably looked at this in Shopify, like add to cart rate, and now I'd say it's a problem when it's below 7%. And at that point, it means that some sections are confusing, your offer might not be good enough, people don't trust you, or some other things. The other metric is reach checkout. So people are adding to cart, but how many people reach checkout? So if it's less than 20% of the people that added to cart, then again, people still don't trust you enough to purchase. Maybe it's the cart drawer that is bad, maybe it's the offer that is bad again, etc. So also complete checkout. So of this, let's say 25% that reached checkout, how many did actually complete the checkout? If it's less than 50% that completed it, then means that again there's a problem. Maybe it's payment options, trust, shipping cost or time, whatever. And another metric is the bounce rate. So this is basically people that are landing on your store and instantly leaving without even giving you a chance, right? So if it's more than 60% of people are instantly leaving, then there's a problem. Maybe it's an add to page mismatch. Maybe it's the first load is the problem. Maybe there's a bad hero. And now your goal is to get this as high as possible, but try to get at least above these numbers and at least below this number. So do not confuse you anymore. I'm going to leave it at that. Of course, there can be many more things that you can look at, but try to focus on these ones for now. So now that you actually know like what numbers you should look for, you need to know how to actually look for them, because like I said, somewhere in your store something is affecting these metrics, or the one metric that is off. So slicing up your store and just looking at the data much more in depth, that is going to tell you like where this store metric is actually being affected and potentially why. So and I'll keep all of this super simple, as I said. And now we're going to get into the more juicy stuff. Like I'm going to show you like hands-on how these things are going to actually look that I want you to do. So now we are zooming in a bit more. We went from your whole store. Now you know what metrics actually you should be looking at. And now we are going to start actually seeing these metrics, start seeing what's going on your store, and start seeing what is causing you to lose sales. So we are going to try to find one page and one customer path that we want to actually look at in more depth. So I want to tell you, like, there was a brand that I worked with that spent basically 2 weeks rewriting a whole page. So they basically made a whole new layout and rewrote the copy. And honestly, the page that they created was fine, but the thing is, it was never the problem. That page, the page that maybe you're thinking about, like rewriting the product page, the some other landing page, collection page, homepage, whatever, that might not be the problem. So they basically looked at the wrong number, they made an assumption, and they wasted 2 weeks and some ad spend on the wrong page. So I'll show you exactly what we found and how we found it, because it happens constantly. So I'm going to start off with Shopify Analytics. You probably, I mean, you have Shopify, just go on the analytics, and this is one of my favorite things that I want you to also create is a conversion rate per landing page, check, report, whatever, right? And honestly, what I do is I just like open it daily. I just like real quick, it takes me like 1 minute or whatever just to check if the KPIs are like okay. And this is what it actually looks like. And this is how you can actually create it over here. So metrics and dimensions and the filters and all of those things that I have. And yeah, as I said, you can do this yourself. So this tells me instantly if something has gone wrong overnight. So I can see if my top funnels are suddenly broken, or if my top funnels are starting to die out and they start converting less. And then I know, hey, I need to act on this like ASAP. I need to fix this ASAP, right? So I'll instantly know what I should focus on next, what I should actually be improving next. And if daily is too much, just honestly check it week by week. The other thing that I like looking at is the average order value, and basically again the filters that I have over here, I just do it like by product. If there's not too many products on the store, or if there are a lot of products, just check the overall AOV and check that it is not dying out, right? And as I told you, the conversion rate times the average order value is basically what is going to keep the revenue per visitor going. So you must always have the conversion rate and average order value in check. The average order value tells me, for example, if my bundles, my upsells, things like that are doing their job, but also it is connected to the ad, because bad traffic means that a colder audience is going to go on my store, and that would mean that they spend less money on my store. And as I said, these are fast checks, they are not deep dives, just checking them real fast. If something looks off, that is when I actually go deeper. And also, like, Shopify Analytics is pretty good for checking if there's too much bot traffic. So if you see your bot traffic increasing, like again, something might be happening, you might be getting some attacks, I don't know, whatever, and you can act on that. But now, Google Analytics is where the real diagnostic actually happens. So if you don't have Google Analytics, then just go and install it. Honestly, go and install it, leave it for, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even a month, and then you're going to get some real data and some real insights from there. So one of the most important things that you can do here is build a custom purchase journey. And you can see over here basically the things that you need to build them. So this is what like the Google Analytics report is going to look like. I have some things blurred out over here probably, but yeah. Now this is the customer journey, or one basically variation of it that you can build. And what does this mean? So for example, it's telling you how many people started landed on your store, then how many people actually viewed your product, then how many people are actually added to cart, how many begin the checkout, and how many purchased, right? My camera storage filled up, sorry for that, but as I was saying, you can basically see where there are holes in the funnel and what and where you should actually look more in depth as to what's going on, right? So for example, 5.1% added to cart, while 74% like viewed a product. 46.4% of this begin checkout, and 22.2% purchased, right? So for this one, for this specific report, you might, for example, think that the add to cart is low here. Like, remember what we said, like above 7%, I'd say like that is something that you should aim for. And it's actually decent basically for how expensive the products are for this brand, but your instinct might be now add to cart is low, okay, I need to work on the product details page and fix this add to cart. But if you look at this a bit deeper and if you think about it a bit more, we only have a 22% completed purchase out of this 50% that actually went on to the purchase page, right? To the checkout page, I mean. So that's actually a much bigger problem. But getting this purchase like to the more standard 50%, for example, would be doubling, even more than doubling, like in the amount of money they're making. Even increasing it by 10%, that is going to increase like instantly the amount of money they're making by 10%, right? So fixing the product details page instead of the checkout then would be a waste of money, right? Some of the changes you'll need to make might be on the product details page, but you must make these changes, for example, with the checkout in mind. So this, as I said, is one simple report that you can look at, and again, here is how you can make it. I'm going to show you something a bit more in depth over here. So for example, if you have a more modern, and this is, as I said, like what I say, I think everyone should do, like have a pre-lender, right? If you have a pre-lender, Google Analytics, you can basically like look into it like in such good details. You can see like I've made like so many variations of this over here, and basically what this can show is basically from the pre-lender how many people went to the product details page. Here, as you can see on this pre-lender, 34% went to the product details page, which is very good. 20% of them added to cart. 35.6 went on to start checkout, and then 50% purchased of this 35.6. Then what you can do here, you can basically, as you can see, segment it by, for example, country or whatever. You can segment it by device, like for example, phone, tablet, computer, whatever, by gender, by, as here is it, by device, and yeah, these things more complicated, I'll leave them out. Now, this is what, when you click steps over here, this is what you're going to see. And what this is going to be like the journey that you want to actually build out and that you want to see in more depth. So what I have here, so for example, step one in the customer journey is going to be the pre-lender, right? It's going to be the people landing or visiting this pre-lender page. And then from that, I want to see the people that went on to the product page, the people that added to cart, the people that begin checkout, and down here, the people that ended up purchasing. And this is basically going to build you out this thing that I'm showing you over here. And now for you, what you're going to do, you might not even have a pre-lender. So you maybe are only going to have like the landing page is going to be on your product, right? And maybe then you want to check how many people added to cart, begin checkout, purchase, whatever. You here can be as much creative as you want. Like you can do so many different things. Like you just need to sit down and think like, what do I actually want to check, right? And I'm giving you here some things that yeah, you can just do, and I constantly do. So I had a client recently where the numbers basically told us the funnel was leaking, but everyone assumed that the landing page was the problem because the product details page worked before they actually added a new landing page, basically a new pre-lender. But when I built this purchase journey in Google Analytics, I could see that the landing page pre-lender was actually doing its job, the new one that they built, but people were clicking to at a solid rate, and the problem was actually on the sales page. So instead of spending weeks rewriting and building a new pre-lender that wasn't broken, we fixed the sales page and the funnel actually improved, right? And that's the power of this report that I'm telling you. You can see exactly at which step the journey is actually failing, right? Like, is it the product page? Are not enough people adding to cart? Are not enough people continuing to check out? Are not enough people purchasing? Like, this is this like the most powerful thing that you can actually check. And another very good thing that I actually like to build is a landing page report. So if you have like multiple funnels, multiple landing pages, if you want to see everything in more detail, build this out, right? So you can basically see here all of the pages that people are landing on, and you can see all of these things like the average purchase value, the AOV, the bounce rate that I talked about, the checkouts, the purchases, how much money it's made you, the sessions, and then just honestly just screenshot this, send it to ChatGPT or whatever, and just be like, tell me the conversion rate for all of these landing pages, and you can see if there are some holes here, right? So this is how you can basically compare funnels and products, and you can spot outliers very fast. So for example, if this page is converting at 4%, but this page is converting at 0.8%, that I know something here is broken, right? And the last one that I'm going to tell you, so basically I'm giving you three. So the first one, the landing page one, and now this one that I want you to do is basically to check your source and medium breakdown. Now, this is basically to see which channels, so for example, Instagram, Google, Facebook, like the things that are sending you ads, and which ads themselves are converting, and for example, if you try to scale, you can see here what ads start to underperform. So for example, this is what that looks like. So for example, this is the campaign, and then this is the ad itself from that campaign, right? So I blur this out because yeah, I have to, of course, but you can see, for example, this ad and how it's, which one is it? So you can see how it's performing now and how it used to perform. So you can see that it's actually like this ad is starting to like start underperforming, right? And you can see more specific data about it. So you can see like add to carts, you can see purchases, you can see bounce rates and all of those things, and you can compare basically the averages to your other to see your other ads, and you just have this whole picture in one frame, right? You can see if you maybe think like one ad is doing good, but then you go over here and you see, oh my god, the bounce rate is so big, and then you're like, okay, maybe the ad is the problem, maybe my landing page is the problem, and I need to fix it, right? If there's a mismatch between those two. Now a lot of stores, for example, when they're making 5K a day, they look fine, but when they try to reach, for example, 40K, or when they're making 40K, like everything falls down, conversion rate, average order value, because the whole store was built from warm traffic and they can't handle a colder audience that comes with the scale, right? And you can see some of that information like more in depth over here. So again, as I said, I can show you like so much more, but for now, just these three things are going to be fine. So real quick, just to go through them again, I want you to look at the customer journey. I want you to look at the landing page report to build this out, and I want you to look at the report where you break down your ads. But Google Analytics and Shopify have shown you the drop-off points, but just knowing where isn't enough. You need to know why this is happening, and that's where the next tools are actually going to come in. So now you figured out the one page, the one customer path that you want to look at in more depth, and now we're going to find, for example, it might be the one section that is causing the problem. You see, we're zooming in. We went from the whole store to one section now, right? So now you know where, but you still don't know why. So numbers tell you where people live, but they never tell you what happened right before they left. What actually caused them to leave? And this is probably, honestly, the most important part of the video. So I'm going to talk about clarity here, but you can use Hotjar as well, and another tool which I'll tell you a bit later. So for clarity, for example, one of the things that you can look at is scroll map, and this is how far people are scrolling down your page. So here I am, for example, in the hero section. As you can see, 93% are basically just below the hero section staying, and then over here is the average fold, and the lower in the page that we get, the less people stay. So here I'm scrolling pretty far down. As you can see, 42% people have stayed over here. And now, for example, if you can see that visitors are dropping off after the third section, you know the third section is your problem. If they're not scrolling past this hero, then you know that the hero is the problem, right? And that it's not convincing enough, and then nothing below it is ever going to get a chance. And this can tell you like very fast like what sections are your problem. And on long form pages, I want you to use the 5-15 rule. So what is this rule actually? So let's say that you see for a normal page for you, you're losing around, let's say, 5% of your visitors per section. Let's say from one section to another, you lose 5%. But then you see that one section is actually losing 15% of your visitors. And now you instantly know this is the section that is actively pushing people out, and this is the one that you need to focus on. The next thing is an attention map, and this is what the people actually read, right? So on this part where I'm hovering, for example, people spend an average of 2 minutes and 15 seconds like staying, scrolling, reading on this part of the page, right? So what I'm seeing over here is that basically this over here, the green part, and you can see here, it goes from red, and green is over here in the middle section. Blue is bad, it means no attention. But what I can see is this part that is green, it's actually holding a decent amount of attention, but it's at a place where only 40% of the visitors see. And now, if this section, for example, is answering an objection, building trust, or doing something that clearly resonates with the person, move it up, right? Like so easy. You just take this section and you put it somewhere more up where there's like a blue section like this that people don't really resonate and pay too much attention to. And on any page, like almost always like before and afters, testimonials, results, those things always get like a lot of attention. You can basically never go wrong with that. Now, click maps is the next thing, and this is basically showing you where there is friction. So on clarity, click maps are most useful for finding friction, such as like visitors constantly clicking on something that isn't clickable, or clicking on an image that doesn't zoom, and you can just find like these are small inconveniences that still might make someone like don't want to buy. But outside of finding friction, like standard click maps don't tell you much, and a big amount of clicks, for example, doesn't mean that those clicks are actually valuable. So I will show you a tool that actually I use that shows you what clicks are valuable, and it is one that actually we used to come up with an A/B test, and this A/B test made the brand an extra 64,000 per month. And this is where revenue per click basically comes in, and this map is not this map, but this app is called heatmaps.com, and it is very good. So for example, as you can see here, not too many clicks, I know, but just wanted to show this as an example. So for example, you can see that on this product gallery image, when people click it, there's a conversion rate of 4.17% on it. And now when we look at the third image, there's a 4.40% conversion on it, right? And what you might do here to increase the conversion rate is just switch the places between this. Like if people like this image more, then make it like the second image, right? So more people, so there's going to be a bigger chance of people visiting it. And now this is just the simplest thing that I could think of like to instantly show you, but of course, there are better uses for this, and you can just see like how much more powerful this is. It's showing you how much money it made, like with the person that clicked this, the average order value of it, the revenue per click of it, right? A normal heat map, for example, what happened was it showed us like the amount of clicks that an frequently asked question basically got. But this tool, it showed us which clicks actually made the brand money, as I said. You see that over here, right? The RPC. We saw one was actually a clear standout, and what happened, we kept it there, we kept it in the FAQs like at the end of the page basically, but we also added it under the add to cart in the hero section. And what happened was it added the brand an extra 64,000 per month, and yeah, super easy, just like that, 17% increase in conversion, 26 revenue per visitor. And stuff like this, you can use them on your navigation. You can check like which collections and products are generating the most revenue when clicked. And because again, if you're getting a lot of clicks, but if you're not making money, those clicks are useless, right? And then you can reorder your navigation accordingly, and of course it's useful for other things as well. And then the last thing, like after you've done all of these things, you're going to come up with only one test. So by now you've probably got like 12 ideas and you want to go and instantly go and just change all of them, but please don't. A/B test every single idea that you get, and if possible, one at a time, and test them in order of the most important and impactful to the least important and impactful. And I know that this video can be a bit confusing if you don't know like too much about GA4 and Hotjar and stuff like that. But yeah, I tried to keep it as simple as possible. If you have any questions, just comment them, feel free, I'll respond. There's a video on the screen right now about how we got our brand to reach $100,000 per day. Check it out if you want, and yeah, thank you for watching.